And this is why UCSS is special. We go an hour late, and within 31 seconds of being live, we have 400 viewers in here. Joined by Adam the Bull, Jason Lloyd, Earl the Pearl. G. Bush is walking into his home right now. Will join us here in a minute. Once again, we apologize for the technical difficulties earlier. We're going to run through a myriad of topics in the next hour, trying to cover everything we were going to cover on the regular show before we got booted out of the studio. So, Bull, let's start with the blame game. Real quick answer before we dive deep into the issues. How would you divvy up the blame for yesterday's loss to the New York Giants?
So there's a ton of blame to go around. If I had I'm giving like 10 to 15% to a lot of different people, but the biggest share of the blame is to the offensive line. I think they were the biggest of many culprits yesterday. I know there's injuries. That's not an excuse. You're a professional NFL player. I don't care that you're a backup. You've got to be able to do a serviceable job. And the offensive line was absolutely atrocious. So they get the biggest share of the blame, whatever percentage. But I've got some blame on Kevin Stefanski, who I thought did a terrible job. Jim Schwartz did a terrible job. Some blame on Watson. The wide receiver is not named Amari Cooper. And the defense as a whole, outside of Denzel Ward, pretty much. So I guess basically gave you everybody, but the largest percentage will go to the offensive line.
Jason?
It's probably not the answer you're looking for, but if I'm being totally honest, I blame whoever's making them run this offense. That's who gets blamed for this. Whoever is making them try and play a style that they are not suited to play with a quarterback who can no longer play that way. They had an offense that worked, and they threw it out the window, and they try to do something they don't have the personnel to do. So whoever is, and I don't know who it is, whoever is forcing them to play this way, because I don't think it's Kevin Stefanski, whoever's forcing them to play this way gets all the blame from me.
I don't accept that as an answer, Jason.
I don't care.
We'll in a sec. Earl, we got G in the wing, so you give us your blame game real quick, and then we're going to thank you for your contributions. You can check out Earl's 216 show he did before this, and then we're going to bring G in. But Earl, real quick, who gets the most blame for yesterday's loss?
For me, it's Kevin Stefanski. The reason why is you're the guy who brought in Ken Dorsey. You're the guy who hired Andy Dickerson. You're the guy who either was on board with or was the front runner of changing this offense and making all these crazy changes to the offensive staff. And to be totally honest with you, this team has been inconsistent, unprepared to play from day one. I thought Kevin Stefanski ran a soft training camp. I thought this team wasn't ready week one. They played a little bit better week two. You come back home in week three, and you crap the bed in every facet of football. You are the head coach of this football team. And when your team comes out not prepared like that against a team at home that you were 6.5-point favorites against, then you get the majority of the blame because you are the head coach of this football team. With that, check out the Ultimate 216 show from earlier. Y'all have a great show.
Thank you, Earl. G. Bush now joining us. G, real quick, rapid fire. How do you divvy up the blame pie for yesterday's loss?
Man, if I can give it all the way to everybody involved, all parties involved, letter D, I would. I'm gonna start with a 50%. If I'm gonna carve it up, man, the offensive line to me used to be the strength of this team. I think now that we look back at it, there has been a bit of a decline with the offensive line. You go back and look at what Nick Chubb was able to do for the team. He was able to make guys miss. He was able to be able to run a certain style, and therefore you were able to use your offensive line and then run play action, different things downfield. That made it easier to throw the football vertically. Since Nick Chubb has been gone, there have been a conscious effort, as Jason said, to be more vertical, to bring more things into the fold. And to be honest with you, this team is not built. It's not built for that. The playmakers on the outside are not the traditional playmakers that you need to throw the football. The receivers look slow. The receivers don't get much separation. And the quarterback that you thought that you were getting that was going to be able to throw the ball downfield that is not his game plan. That's not his game. That ain't it. And you're starting to see with the way people are playing defenses, that coupled with the fact of the receivers, not the offensive line, not giving you time. I think all of this goes into the bigger picture of we have to start questioning whether or not this offense or this scheme or whatever they're trying to do, if the pieces, parts, or whatever they're doing is working, because it's very evident when you watch other teams and guys are wide open, guys are running rudimentary routes. When you look down the field for the Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper caught some very nice passes, but think about it. There was zero margin for error on those passes. These passes, he was blanketed on the coverage. The routes weren't that creative. I mean, basically they're streaks. They're just go routes that happen to hit for you. I don't see anything over the field, no route combinations. I don't see crossers. Deshaun Watson, I don't think he was the main fault for this loss today, but he did miss guys. He missed some guys over the middle. Amari Cooper was one of those guys, really short, threw the ball, did not put it on the numbers for him. But the times where Deshaun Watson was accurate and the times where he was moving the football, it did you no good that your receivers get hit in the chest and your running backs are fumbling. I will say I'm going to give 50% of it to the offensive line. I'm going to give another 25% to the coaching staff, and I'm going to give another 25% to the quarterback. So there, sometimes, I tweeted, you're going to have to make some plays outside of people helping you. And there were times where I thought Deshaun did do that. I thought times where he wasn't successful at doing that. But to me, the scary part is that was the best offensive line you had. You're going to have guys that are now 4 guys with MRIs. Jed Wills coming back is not some sort of savior. And you're looking at Joe Bitonio playing left tackle and Ethan Poach is playing guard or whatever the case may be. And that is not a good look for more tough pass rushers coming up.